On no foul play, that's what the Sarpy County attorney Lee Polakov says. A probe into recent elections concluded. His office hired independent investigator William Black after receiving 52 election-related complaints last year regarding the 2020 general and the 2022 primary elections. The investigation found no evidence of widespread election fraud or criminal wrongdoing, but did find isolated election-related issues. They found nothing to prove voter fraud intent.
My message to voters in Sarpy County is they should be extremely pleased that this is the outcome and can have confidence in the fact that, at least in Sarpy County, they're conducting it correctly and they're fair and free elections.
Black says he doesn't think concern for free and fair elections will stop with this report, but that it sets a good base tone for what they do know. We'll have more on this story tonight at 6:30, including some of the recommendations for changes that he's making.